𝗪𝗡𝗀𝗀𝗡.
How many years was the New Thought movement as we know it?
I would say it probably started in its earliest modern form with maybe some of the writings of the transcendentalists like Ralph Waldo Emerson in the mid 19th century. Emerson spoke of an idea being the womb behind everything that exists, of the power of an idea, of the power of the individual's perspective to almost direct divine will along certain lines. And Phineas Quimby, I wouldn't say directly emerged from that movement, but he emerged from this transcendental mood that suffused New England, where people were looking for practical applications of spiritual ideas, practical applications of prayer, especially as it pertained to healthcare in the United States, if it could even be called such, was in a total shambles in the mid-19th century. And there were many regions of the country where people didn't even have any kind of regular physicians, and regular physicians were still using methods at that time, in the United States at least, that we would consider medieval. And Quimby, in the mid-19th century, emerged from that firmament. In some respects, he has the same vintage as the earliest transcendentalist writings. And so the earliest stirrings of New Thought, I would have to say, began with him. But it was Mrs. Eddy who later on in the 1870s committed some of these ideas to writing with her own theological bent and outlook. And then from there, other branches sprung off of those tree trunks, eventually fell under the umbrella term of New Thought, which became popular more or less in the mid-1890s. I would say starting in the early 20th century, New Thought began to take on some of the prosperity teachings that are more familiar within that outlook today. The literature just came by the truckload. I believe that New Thought did a better job of popularizing itself than it did of refining itself. And this connects with some of what I was saying earlier, that we need a new thought. We need a new thought that can stand up to the tragedies and the complexities that mark our world now, including end-of-life issues. People live a lot longer nowadays, but they don't necessarily live life of quality. They might live very impaired lives. How does New Thought address that? What does New Thought have to say about that? So these are areas where I think the movement needs refining. It's grown so popular, and that's a good thing. It needs to grow broader, and it needs to grow